watching Scripps News, part of the Scripps News Group.
Welcome to the National Report. I'm Andrew Rafferty in Washington. Let's get you caught up on some of today's top stories. We are following developing story out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. There was a shooting at an ice skating rink. It happened during a high school game. Police say it involved two feuding families, and 2 people are dead, plus a suspect. 3 others are hospitalized. No details on the extent of their injuries, but the head of Providence County said in a statement that all students, parents, and staff are now safe. And it might be time to break out the piggy bank. The Wall Street Journal reports a number of companies are raising prices once again. Many retailers cite pressure from tariffs. Some small businesses say they are grappling with wages and high healthcare costs since they have tighter margins than larger companies. Some retailers also increased prices last year after new tariffs took effect. An Oscar-winning actor, Robert Duvall, has died. He passed away peacefully at his home with his wife, Luciana, by his side. That, according to a statement from his family. Duvall had an acclaimed career that spanned 6 decades. He was best known for Apocalypse Now and the Godfather series.
I always wanted to be thought of as a brother by you. Mikey, real brother.
And Duvall's excellence on the screen was known even when words were not spoken. It ultimately earned him an Oscar nod for that role on The Godfather. The Duvall family said that those who wish to honor his memory are encouraged to do so in a way that reflects his life, by watching a great film, telling a good story with friends, or taking a drive in the countryside to appreciate the world's beauty. Robert Duvall was 95. And we've now entered the 3rd day of that partial government shutdown after Congress failed to secure funding for the Department of Homeland Security. That means essential employees like TSA agents are working without pay until Congress can come to an agreement. Scripps News Washington correspondent Steph Liebergan is live in our D.C. newsroom. And Steph, on a holiday like today when many families may be hitting the airport, taking advantage of that long weekend, what type of impact could travelers see?
Hey, Andrew. Well, around 95% of TSA agents are deemed essential. So that means as long as everyone was showing up for work, the average traveler probably didn't see much of an impact at the airports this weekend. All of those essential workers have to keep showing up during a shutdown for the Department of Homeland Security. But as we saw in the fall, the longer a shutdown lasts, the bigger the impact will be. It's business as usual at airports across the country, but behind the scenes, about 61,000 TSA employees clocked into work not knowing when they'll get paid. Last week, Congress failed to approve funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which includes TSA. Democrats are demanding changes to immigration enforcement after the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minnesota last month. Many TSA employees, though, are still feeling the impacts from the last government shutdown. A top official told Congress the agency lost over 1,000 agents in October and November last year, many of them attributing their departure to the 43-day government shutdown.
Many were subject to late fees from missed bill payments, eviction notices, loss of child care, and more. Some are just recovering from the financial impact of the 43-day shutdown. Many are still reeling from it.
TSA is focusing on surge staffing as big events like the World Cup come to the U.S. But with yet another shutdown, those efforts could be severely impacted. Luckily for travelers, air traffic controllers are not affected by this shutdown. That means widespread flight delays and cancellations are unlikely. But travel experts say passengers won't be immune to disruptions.
The longer the shutdown lasts, the theme then becomes there could be operational issues in the way of longer security processing, as we see the TSA agents call out, take some time off.
Negotiations to end the DHS shutdown are happening behind closed doors, and Congress is on recess until February 23rd. But if the two sides strike a deal before then, we could see lawmakers called back to Capitol Hill. Now, because of a 2019 bill signed into law during President Trump's first administration, furloughed and essential employees like TSA agents, well, they will receive back pay once Congress approves a budget for DHS. But a delayed paycheck can really still put families in a tough financial position when the paycheck might be delayed, but their bills keep coming in, Andrew.
Yeah, and Steph, obviously TSA a huge focus here, but what are some of the other agencies that are impacted by this funding gap?
So you're talking about FEMA, the Secret Service, the U.S. Coast Guard, or just a few of the other agencies that are underneath the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security. Now, DHS as a whole employs about 260,000 people, and about 95% of the agency is deemed essential. So a lot of people are still going to be expected to go up and show up at work, even though there's a shutdown for the agency.
All right, Steph Lieberman in our D.C. newsroom. Steph, thank you. And the U.S. and Iran are set to meet in Geneva this week for the second round of negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. The first round of talks happened in Oman earlier this month, and these top-level discussions come as a second American carrier strike group is traveling to the Middle East. For more on this, I'm joined by our White House correspondent here on set with us. Haley, what can we expect from these talks?
Well, these are certainly set up to be significant talks, as we have seen President Trump warn Iran to reach a deal, while at the same time increasing the military pressure in the region. And we understand that his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are expected to take part in these indirect talks with the Iranians in Geneva on Tuesday, according to a U.S. official, hosted by Oman, again, according to the Swiss. This follows that initial round of talks that you talked about, Andrew, as President Trump has indicated he has a desire for diplomacy, but has also sent that second carrier strike group to the region, quote, "If we don't have a deal, we'll need it," is how the president described that move. Now, ahead of those talks, we have seen the Iranians reportedly carry out naval military drills, while Iran's foreign minister met with his Omani counterpart, as well as the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency. That agency leader framing their talks as technical discussions ahead of the negotiations. Now, President Trump has specifically called for no nuclear weapons for Iran, and in recent days has suggested he doesn't want any enrichment. And that is something that historically the Iranians have not, at least publicly, indicated an openness to, as they are also looking for sanctions relief at the same time. It certainly remains to be seen what could be on the table in these talks and what progress they could yield. Secretary of State Marco Rubio suggesting that the United States is hopeful, but also cautioning that Iran is hard to deal with, saying this.
I said it yesterday, I'll repeat it again today. I mean, we have to understand that Iran ultimately is governed, and its decisions are governed by Shia clerics, radical Shia clerics, okay? These people make policy decisions on the basis of pure theology. That's how they make their decisions. So it's hard to do a deal with Iran. We've always said it's hard, but we're going to try. That's what the president is trying. I'm not going to prejudge those talks. I'm certainly not going to negotiate with Iran here in front of the press and on the stage. Our negotiators are on their way there now. They'll have meetings. We'll see what happens. We're hopeful there's a deal. The president always prefers peaceful outcomes and negotiated outcomes to things.
Meanwhile, Andrew, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who met with President Trump just last week, reiterated his skepticism of any deal with Iran, calling for any deal to include no enrichment capability, Iran's ballistic missile program, and its support for proxy groups. Meanwhile, Senator Lindsey Graham in Israel today suggesting that there is no daylight, no gaps between President Trump and Netanyahu. Of course, this is only one set of talks expected tomorrow.
Yeah, a big week ahead, and one that we know the president would love a victory, some sort of victory ahead of that State of the Union address just in a couple weeks. Haley Bull, our White House correspondent. Haley, thank you.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence.
17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband Barry has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Allison Camerata joins Del Walters for President Donald Trump's first State of the Union of his second presidency. the State of the Union. Live coverage February 24th starting at 8. Streaming on Scripps News.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk. I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Well, why'd you have to show up?
Want to get away with it? He ain't. You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays.
I think we better do everything we're going to do while it's still daylight.
On Grid Extra.
Jesse Palmer.
Emmett Smith?
Both of us together? This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at TableauTV.com.
The MVP of TV.
You know the drill.
We are gonna be there when it pops.
Okay, get to it.
Those guys, they're the best.
We'll get this guy.
Together, like we always do. I think you'll be surprised what you're capable of.
Connecting focus.
Here we go.
This is gonna be fun.
Then let's get it on.
Kind of forgot how crazy things can get here.
I love this team.
It's on ION, wherever you watch.
You're watching Scripps News, part of the Scripps News Group.
As a new week begins, there's also a new round of questions about where the investigation is going into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The 84-year-old mom of Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie was abducted from her Catalina Foothills home back on February 1st, according to Pima County deputies. Monday, no detectives on scene, but we did spot a landscaper, the ABC-15 drone, capturing him working in the backyard. A family going 2.5 weeks and still no answers.
We still have hope. And we still believe.
Savannah Guthrie posting on Instagram Sunday night with another emotional plea for her mom's safe return. Late Friday, ABC-15 was at two separate scenes. First, a nearby neighborhood in the Catalina Foothills, where a search warrant was served in connection to the case. Then, about a mile down the road, a traffic stop, also connected to the Guthrie investigation. According to police, one person was detained but later released. No one was arrested. As the mystery continues, so does the intrigue. People from all over the area and Arizona are coming to see the growing show of support and also offer support of their own. Sherry McKee and her husband live in Peoria and decided to come down to Tucson as the world works to figure out, where is Nancy?
It's awful because she wants closure. She wants to know where her mom is and if she's safe. We just hope and pray at this point that will she be found? We're hoping and definitely praying.
We believe. And we believe in the essential goodness of every human being. And it's never too late.
Nick Saletti, Scripps News Group.
And as the search for Nancy Guthrie enters another week, there's been a lot of attention on purported ransom notes demanding Bitcoin. Now, the Scripps News Group is hearing from a professional crypto tracker who works with law enforcement. That tracker told our Paul Lagrone in Tampa that crypto is the currency of choice for criminals and that Florida is a hotbed.
Is crypto becoming the currency of crime, or is that an oversimplification?
For the past 10 years, it actually has become the vehicle of financial fraud for cyber criminals, targeting individuals that are even not interested in crypto. People need to correlate crypto and crime as something we need to attend to because we have ignored crypto-related crime for a very long time, and cyber criminals have actually taken note. And here we are today.
So, you know, you're on the good side of this, and this is your world, this is your business, and you're way ahead of this issue. You mentioned that Florida, in particular Tampa Bay, that region, that you're seeing this kind of activity happen here. What are you seeing here?
We're seeing an incredible spike since COVID of people from Florida that are being targeted in different scenarios and different scheme. The number one is the fake trading platform. The number two scenario is where people impersonate actual entities because data was breached, and therefore for cyber criminals it's an easy target. And we see people that are falling for it like a plague in Florida. And obviously people are not aware. It's not a communal conversation. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to reflect as much light to shadow work. And there's so much that we need to do, because if you understand the magician trick, you're not going to be applauding at the end of the sequence. You'll notice the trick before it manifests. And that's actually what cyber criminals do today. And you can imagine that they are using AI to their benefit to target a lot more people with a lot less resources. And this is the eerie part, because law enforcement have not taken AI as a tool to disrupt malicious AI activities. So again, unfortunately, from our perspective at Lionsgate Network, we will see more and more cases, because right now cyber criminals seeking to target people financially, they flourish. It's their springtime right now, and we need to bring them to autumn and winter. We need to seize their operation, and we want to tell them, if they're watching, crypto is traceable, and if it's traceable, it's seizable and recoverable. And this is the kind of cooperation we are looking to have with law enforcement in Florida.
And two corporations saw a banner 2025 as a direct result of President Trump's immigration crackdown. CoreCivic and Geo Group own private detention centers that house migrants arrested by ICE. Our ICE Inc. ongoing investigation tracks how for-profit businesses are cashing in on mass deportations. Our investigative correspondent Patrick Terpstra joins me here on set. And Patrick, this is something you've been following for a while. It seems like these two corporations are making investors very happy right now.
Yeah, and these are two publicly traded corporations, and as a result, they have to let us know how much money they're making. And this most recent earnings call last week made it clear 2025 was a boon for both CoreCivic as well as the Geo Group. Both of them showing that they made double-digit % gains in 2025. Both of them making about 13% more in revenue than they did the year before. Both of those companies clearing $2 billion. In fact, Geo Group saying that 2025 was, quote, the most successful year for new business wins in the company's history. These companies, Geo Group and CoreCivic, they own a combined 9 different detention centers that opened during the second Trump administration last year. And they have been able to now house thousands upon thousands of suspected undocumented immigrants that are arrested by ICE. Early in Trump's second term, it became clear that ICE simply did not have enough facilities to house all of the immigrants that were being arrested while they await deportation hearings and go through that entire process. So using funds from what the Trump administration calls a one big beautiful bill, they've been able to sign contracts with these companies to actually house those immigrants, to lock them up, and to do so for months and months at a time. Even as they're doing that, reports have emerged through our own investigations of problems with not enough staffing, overcrowding, medical care lacking in some cases, water that is undrinkable, food that is of subpar quality, and detainees saying that they've been getting sick. A particular concern is Dilley, the Dilley Family Detention Center in Texas, which had a measles outbreak last week. These companies have made clear to us during all this reporting that they stand by the treatment of detainees and say that they get adequate medical care and that that is a top priority. But at the same time, of course, they are also trying to make a profit. That is the entire point of these companies' existence. And in listening to these calls, there's an eye toward what does this year have in store for them. And a lot of talk about warehouses and converting warehouses into detention centers that could house thousands and thousands of people. But George Zoley, who is the executive chairman of Geo Group, telling investors last week that he is not so sure that this plan that the Trump administration is trying to roll out to use warehouses as jails, he's not so sure it's going to work.
We've only had one experience in renovating a warehouse, and that occurred maybe 30 years ago. So it's more complicated than you may think. The operational implications of how you manage such a facility, particularly a large-scale facility, is going to be concerning.
So will we see these warehouses being used? Maybe not as many as we might be thinking when we hear comments like that from George Zoley. Both CoreCivic as well as Geo Group saying that their priority right now is to bring online more of their own detention centers that have been closed. But that, in some cases, has run into resistance from communities. We were in Leavenworth, Kansas, and talked to folks out there where they have a 1,033-bed facility, and they don't want it to be reopened. So they've had pushback, court cases, but they are still able to house thousands of immigrants and make a lot of money doing so, Andrew.
Yeah, and it's not hard to understand why these companies have been so successful under President Donald Trump. Is there any indication from some of these company leaders about where they are going to go from here?
Yeah, they're telling investors that it's not just about these detention centers, even though that is the bread and butter of these companies. They're also looking at more deals with ICE to monitor migrants who have been released using things like ankle monitoring bracelets, but also a very controversial process that we've been looking at for some time called skip tracing. This is what, if you were delinquent on a loan, somebody might try to come find where you live and serve you papers. ICE has signed contracts with a number of these companies to actually have folks go out and sit on a house and watch a house or a workplace of a suspected undocumented immigrant. Controversial? Yes. Lucrative? Yes. And it is something that these companies are now looking at to do to continue to bring in that revenue, which is again, the reason these companies exist.
Okay, fascinating reporting there, something that I don't think a lot of people were aware of. Our investigative correspondent, Patrick Terpstra. Patrick, thank you.
Jesse Palmer.
Emmett Smith?
Both of us together? This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription-free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at tableautv.com.
The MVP of TV.
Covering the White House, you are in the center of where everything is happening in our government. There are really important issues happening in our country right now. People have questions about where the economy is headed, immigration policies, how the U.S. is handling global conflicts. My job is to bring meaningful answers and ask critical questions that impact everyday lives for our viewers. Haley Bull, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Bounce XL has it all.
Show me something.
Well, did we think that we'd be in TV? Yes, we did. When we allow all of our voice to be heard, that's when we succeed the most.
America, desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm desperate to get at least one of these kids out of my house.
Family sticks together no matter what.
Bridging the gap, celebrating culture, and giving you what you came for.
You ready for showtime?
Show me something.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence. 17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband Barry has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk. I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Now, why'd you have to show up?
Wanna get away with it? He ain't.
You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays.
I think we better do everything we're going to do while it's still daylight.
On Grid Extra.
In just the past week, some of the top safety researchers at the world's most powerful AI companies have walked away from their jobs, including at OpenAI and Anthropic. And they're not leaving quietly. At OpenAI, former researcher Zoe Hitzig resigned in a guest essay in the New York Times, warning that the company could be repeating what she sees as Facebook's biggest mistake about 10 years ago, if you remember, building an advertising machine on top of deeply personal user data. She wrote that ChatGPT now holds what she calls an unprecedented, quote, archive of human candor, everything from medical fears to relationship struggles. And she worries that turning that into an ad business could create incentives to maximize engagement at the expense of user well-being. And in her words, the erosion of OpenAI's principles to maximize engagement may already be underway. And she warned that this kind of optimization can make users feel even more dependent on AI for support in their lives. Meanwhile, over at Anthropic, the head of its safeguards research team, Maranag Sharma, also resigned, posting a letter online that read in part, quote, "The world is in peril." He wrote that he struggled with whether company values were truly guiding decisions as these systems grow even more powerful. So all of this comes as the broader AI industry faces even more mounting scrutiny, including backlash against Elon Musk's company xAI after its Grok chatbot generated explicit images and anti-Semitic content. And so taken together, these exits highlight this growing tension inside AI labs, deciding how fast they can move, compete, and monetize, while also building these ethical guardrails strong enough for technology that millions of people now use every day. And none of this is theoretical anymore. These tools are being used to write emails, get medical advice, draft legal documents, and even provide emotional support. And as the systems get smarter and even more embedded in our daily life, the question isn't just what they can do, but who they're optimized to serve and how these companies are prioritizing profits versus people's safety. Maura Barrett, Scripps News Group, Denver.
After the break, a look at today's top stories.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence.
17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather. A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband, Barry, has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
This is Danny Moses. He's not your average Wall Street guy. In fact, he cashed in on The Big Short. Ever see financial news and think,
what in the world does that mean?
Danny Moses can tell you.
Will that even affect me?
He'll tell you.
What is a prediction market?
He'll tell you that, too. The Danny Moses Show, Fridays at 7. Stream on Scripps News and watch on Scripps News YouTube channel.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza. Yes!
Make a plan today.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Bounce XL has it all.
Show me something.
Well, did we think that we'd be on TV? Yes, we did. When we allow all of our voice to be heard, that's when we succeed the most.
America. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm desperate to get at least one of these kids out of my house.
Family sticks together no matter what.
Bridging the gap, celebrating culture, and giving you what you came for.
You ready for showtime?
Show me something.
The trial against a father whose 14-year-old son shot up Appalachia High School begins today. Prosecutors say Colin Gray gave his son Colt access to a gun and ammunition he used for the 2024 mass shooting in Georgia. Prosecutors say the father ignored multiple warnings that his son would harm others.
This is not a case about holding parents accountable for what their children do. That's not what this case is about. This case is about this defendant and his actions. His actions in allowing a child that he has custody over access to a firearm and ammunition after being warned that that child was going to harm others.
Your job is not to decide whether or not that was tragic. We all know that it was. Your job is to decide something much more specific. Your job is to decide whether or not Colin Gray knew what Colt was going to do.
And Colin Gray has pleaded not guilty to nearly 30 charges, including second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. His son, Colt, has pleaded not guilty for killing 2 students and 2 teachers, hurting 9 others. His trial date has not yet been set. And over the weekend, the Justice Department said it has released all files required by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, but lawmakers say the release is insufficient. Attorney General Pam Bondi sent a letter to Congress Saturday with a list of names appearing in the files, including Donald Trump, Bill Gates, and Bill Clinton. The list also oddly includes deceased musicians Janis Joplin and Elvis Presley. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna accused the DOJ of purposefully muddying the waters by mixing predators with people merely mentioned in emails. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Budapest today to sign a civilian nuclear cooperation agreement. President Trump has been outspoken in his support of Orban, who faces his most serious election challenge this April. Orban is widely considered Russian President Vladimir Putin's most reliable advocate in the European Union and has maintained warm relations with the Kremlin despite its war against Ukraine. The visit follows Rubio's stop in Slovakia as he works to shore up energy agreements with Central European countries that oppose support for Ukraine.
Buried deep in the millions of files released by the Department of Justice on its investigations into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is the diary of a young girl. It's her story about what happened to her in graphic detail in real time. It is like nothing we have seen before. We want to warn you, this content is incredibly disturbing.
I can't go to school like this. Those are words written by a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, pouring her heart onto the pages of her diary. The girl fills pages with trauma and poems, but also high school graduation cards, a stark contrast of a childhood interrupted by violence.
I think the diary was one of the most striking pieces of evidence that I've come across in the probably tens of thousands of pages of the Epstein files that I've reviewed thus far. I found it incredibly disturbing.
Eliza Orlins, a career public defender who has been poring over millions of Epstein files, says this diary stands out. The dozens of diary pages made public focus on the repeated abuse the girl was enduring, including multiple pregnancies. In real time, she gives excruciating details of going through childbirth, with Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly in the room, and of her baby, born alive, being taken away. She asks herself, why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? Maxwell, she explains, said to close my eyes and put her hands over my eyes. I can't bring myself to write what happened, the girl writes in code in a separate entry. I'm beyond broken. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. Distraught. She glued an image of a sonogram to the same undated page and refers to multiple pregnancies. Tomorrow is the halfway ultrasound for Jeffrey. This one stuck. After they took the first baby who survived in the early miscarriage, I think it was called, I no longer feel like a person, but a vessel. Will they take this one too? In the style of teenage girls who use magazine clippings to make posters for their bedroom, this girl is gluing words to describe her abuse.
She was basically a sex slave. She was put through forced birth. She was put through so much trauma and horror.
The pages filled with prayers begging to be released from this torture and hell. To date, there are no known related investigations or charges.
We all should be screaming and yelling and talking about why there weren't investigations, why there weren't certain searches, why prosecutions weren't brought, why sweetheart deals were given.
We do not know what happened to the baby or who the father is. We reached out to the law firm representing this survivor. We do not know her identity, but they turned over this diary to the government. They did not want to comment. Alex Miller, Scripps News Group, New York.
It's been 50 years since one of our nation's most notorious unsolved crimes, the murders in Michigan, known as the Oakland County child killings. Now, police hope DNA advancements, along with AI, can help crack the case. Scripps News Group Heather Catalo spoke with surviving family members of the victims who continue to wait for answers and justice.
We all want him back, and please send him.
From desperate pleas from parents in the 70s.
I try to put it out of my mind. Still I'm sorry.
To continued agony in the 90s.
I think you can see, even after 20 years, it's a painful experience to recall.
And now, even after 5 decades, the Oakland County child killings remain unsolved and hearts remain broken.
On a daily basis, think, all right, it's going to be a good day. We're not going to think about it. But it's in the back of your mind.
Erica Ascroft's sister, Christine Mihalik, was the child killer's third victim.
A lot of people say, you want to know because of closure. Well, the closure happened when she was found. So I say ultimately it's justice for the kids is what our ultimate goal is.
The mystery started on February 15th, 1976. 12-year-old Mark Stebbins vanished after leaving the American Legion Hall in Ferndale.
I just wondered, what would have happened if I would have walked home with him.
Mark's body was found 4 days later in Southfield. 10 months after that, in December, Jill Robinson disappeared after leaving her home in Royal Oak. Her body was found after 4 agonizing days along I-75 in Troy.
The day after Christmas, that morning, I got a phone call that she had been shot.
That same Christmas was Christine Mihalik's last. On January 2nd, 1977, after helping her mom take down the Christmas tree, 10-year-old Chris begged to go 2 blocks to the 7-Eleven near her home in Berkeley in search of a Teen Beat magazine.
And my mom told her no initially because it was not safe to cross 12 Mile. And eventually, Chris asked enough, and my mom eventually said yes. And so then that was the last time we saw her.
Chris's body was found 19 days later, left in the snow on a quiet street in Franklin. At that point, police suspected they had a serial killer on their hands, and a task force was formed. Then in March, Tim King was abducted after going to a drugstore just blocks from his house in Birmingham.
He was quiet. He had his skateboard and came in, bought some candy.
A massive manhunt to find Tim was now underway.
You feel this individual looks so normal in the community that no one suspects him as being the abductor.
Cars were stopped, homes were searched, and the tips poured in, but not in time. After being held for 7 days, Tim's body was left in the snow in Livonia.
It was scary to the community. It was terrifying to parents, but everybody was motivated. Everybody was involved.
Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard was a new police officer at the time who helped chase down those leads 50 years ago. While the Michigan State Police say the case is theirs, Bouchard says he has his own detectives assigned to it because solving the case is a top priority for him.
So it's still very much open. It is specifically assigned in my special investigation unit, and I'm constantly asking them repeatedly, based on technology changes or other kinds of things, is there anything else we can try, anything else we can do?
While many suspects have emerged over the years, Bouchard says he hopes DNA and genealogy advancements and even artificial intelligence could help crack the case.
I actually talked to one of our lead detectives day before yesterday about an AI model ingestion capability that can go back and look at all of the data points that you put in and, you know, give you a different look.
Mitochondrial DNA has connected some suspects to the case, including Arch Sloan and Christopher Bush. But to date, there is no definitive nuclear DNA match. During the last few decades, evidence has been reevaluated, task forces have come and gone, detectives have retired, and many family members of the victims have now passed away. The surviving relatives say their families have often been mistreated by prosecutors and police, prompting some to suspect incompetence or worse. Ascroft says no one from the state police has contacted her family in years.
There's been no communication from law enforcement in any capacity. I think the last time my mom or myself would have received a call from anyone would have been either 2016 or 2017. And since then, not a word.
Bouchard's detectives, who are taking a fresh look at the case, say they now plan to reach out to the surviving families.
What can you say to them to reassure them that there's not some cover-up?
Well, I can say, you know, if there was an answer to be had, I would want to spill it out on the table immediately for them first, and then for the community at large. Absolutely, 100%, no time delay. They deserve it. It's the right thing to do, and I got into this business to protect kids.
Heather Catallo, Scripps News Group.
Bounce XL has it all.
Show me something.
Well, did we think that we'd be in TV? Yes, we did. When we allow all of our voice to be heard, that's when we succeed the most.
America, desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm desperate to get at least one of these kids out of my house.
Family sticks together no matter what.
Bridging the gap, celebrating culture, and giving you what you came for.
You ready for showtime?
Show me something.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk. I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Well, why'd you have to show up? Want to get away with it? He ain't. You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays.
I think we better do everything we're going to do while it's still daylight.
On Grid Extra.
I wanted to be a reporter since I was 4 years old. I always knew that I wanted to tell stories. I feel really proud that I work at Scripps News. Our reporters get to delve into the topics that we care about and that we want to dig deeper into. There's a real investment in going where the stories are, giving people the full picture, reporting what is happening firsthand. Alex Miller, Scripps News, New York.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence. 17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband Barry has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Jesse Palmer.
Emmett Smith?
Both of us together?
This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription-free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at TableauTV.com.
The MVP of TV.
Well, Oscar winner actor Robert Duvall has died. He passed away peacefully at his home with his wife, Luciana, by his side. That according to a statement from his family. Duvall, of course, had an acclaimed career that spanned 6 decades. He was best known for Apocalypse Now and the Godfather series, but it was his role as a down-on-his-luck country singer in Tender Mercies that earned him the Best Actor Oscar.
So you're a Miss Randallins.
Who said?
Kids at school said they had in the paper.
I don't know if I was what you call rich, but I had a few dollars.
How'd you get it?
Writing songs.
And how'd you get money for that?
Yeah, people are crazy enough to pay you for it. They do it.
What happened to your money?
I lost it.
How?
How? Too much Applejack.
The Duvall family said those who wish to honor his memory are encouraged to do so in a way that reflects the life he lived by watching a great film, telling a good story with some friends, or taking a drive in the countryside to appreciate the world's beauty. Again, Robert Duvall was 95. People's movie staff writer Jack Smart is with me now for more on his incredible life and legacy. And Jack, thank you for being here. Duvall's acting chops, of course, legendary. In that clip that we just showed, he sings throughout the film. By the time you finish, you swear he really was a country star. For those who are thinking about, reflecting on what some of his favorite roles are, trying to recapture why he was so great, what are some of the memories and movies that stand out to you?
Yeah, Mr. Duvall, he was so known for his kind of grisly takes on macho manliness. But as you can see in that clip that he won the Oscar for Tender Mercies, he's just as convincing as this kind of raw nerve vulnerability. I think his best performance is kind of played with an interplay between the two. In The Godfather, he's again, manly, consigliere for a mafia family, but often on camera, he had his tears in his eyes. He was the facade of manliness, and then underneath was tender. This is what we're seeing in some of the celebrity tributes that are coming through. They're remembering kind of both sides of that spectrum of this late, great star.
And you mentioned The Godfather there. I want to play a clip from The Godfather Part 2 and ask you about it.
You're my brother. I always wanted to be thought of as a brother by you. Mikey, a real brother.
He didn't speak a lot in that specific role, but there's something about that performance you could almost feel. What was it about his just presence on screen that made him such a powerful figure in film?
Best in her recent tribute to Duvall, she just said, "I've always been in awe of your towering portrayals of men who are both quiet and dominating in their humanness." She called him both a giant and an icon. We're seeing similar tributes from Adam Sandler, Jamie Lee Curtis. I think he sort of understood, in some ways you could look at his filmography as the beating heart of America, between being a consigliere in the Godfather films to this down-and-out country singer in Tender Mercies. I'm really struck by his probably, we could say, downright evil portrayal of a colonel in Apocalypse Now, who loves the smell of napalm in the morning. The reason we have that line in our cultural consciousness is because of his delivery. But I know he'll also be remembered as a sweet man and as a husband. I was really touched by just the words that his wife wrote today about losing him, and how he may have been an Oscar-winning actor to the world, but to her, he was just a loving husband.
It was Duvall's breakout role that was in To Kill a Mockingbird in 1962. It kind of is not a role that you sort of associate with, certainly the roles later in life, those sort of macho roles that you alluded to there. He played Boo Radley. Didn't say, another instance where he didn't really say too much, but what do you think it shows about his range on the screen?
What a debut. What a big screen debut. He had done theater, he'd done TV, but to have a big screen debut opposite these screen legends, but it's a role, it's a very iconic role, but absolutely no dialogue. And it doesn't necessarily set the tone for the rest of his career. Robert also spoke a lot about resisting typecasting. I guess it's hard to be typecast after a mute, menacing figure like Boo Radley. But it was almost like the sky's the limit after that role. He can really do anything. And he proceeded to show us over almost 7 decades of work that he can work on any side of that emotional spectrum.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm interested to get your thoughts on what you think his legacy will be. Are there any sort of lasting trends or actors, actresses in Hollywood right now who really feel like they are sort of taking up the mantle of the legacy that he left behind?
I speak to actors all the time who talk about work ethic, and I think Robert Duvall's work ethic can be considered a high water mark. If you look at that Oscar-winning Tender Mercies role, I read that he drove almost 700 miles throughout the state of Texas with a tape recorder recording other people's accents so that he could properly, and we heard it in that clip, properly convey kind of the nuances of that voice. And he also played in a country music band on the weekends when the film was on break. So that kind of dedication to the craft, I think this often happens when we lose a giant of the screen like this, that other up-and-coming actors can then look at their legacy and pick it apart for clues on how to bring humanity to the screen, much in the way that he did.
Yeah, it has been a tough few weeks for Hollywood, but today a good example of a reason to go back and appreciate some of those earlier works that maybe some of us haven't seen in quite a long time. People's movie staff writer Jack Smith with us. Jack, thank you for your insights.
Thank you.
It's deal or no deal time for the Colorado River. Arizona's share could get cut drastically if the states can't make an agreement tomorrow. I'm Adam Clapp. We'll have that coming up.
You know the drill.
We are gonna be there when it pops.
Okay, get to it.
Those guys, they're the best.
We'll get this guy.
Together, like we always do.
I think you'll be surprised what you're capable of.
Can I keep focus?
Here we go.
This is gonna be fun.
Then let's get it on.
Kind of forgot how crazy things can get here.
I love this team.
It's on ION, wherever you watch.
Covering the White House, you are in the center of where everything is happening in our government. There are really important issues happening in our country right now. People have questions about where the economy is headed, immigration policies, how the U.S. is handling global conflicts. My job is to bring meaningful answers and ask critical questions that impact everyday lives for our viewers. Haley Bull, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
Jesse Palmer.
Emmett Smith?
Both of us together? This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at tableautv.com.
The MVP of TV.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence. 17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband Barry has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
Well, 7 states once again missing a deadline to reach a deal on Colorado River water rights. That means a White House intervention is likely. Scripps News Group's Adam Clapp in Phoenix spoke to the man who represents Arizona in those negotiations.
It's just the latest missed deadline in what have been long and frustrating negotiations. The only deals on the table right now are the potential plans the federal government sent out last month. There's a lot of news right now, a lot that people can be paying attention to. Why should they care about what's behind me here, the Central Arizona Project Canal and the Colorado River water that's in it?
So the Colorado River is in pretty dire straits right now. The reservoirs, the chief reservoirs, Lake Powell and Lake Mead, are collectively at about 30% full right now.
That lack of water is at the heart of why the Colorado River Basin states have not been able to agree on how to share the river. The current agreement expires October 1st.
So time is really running out here. We only have a few months.
With no state agreement, the only options are federal plans released last month.
If any of those alternatives were implemented, it would be very, very difficult and perhaps devastating for Arizona.
The federal plans generally hit Arizona hardest. Some would cut more than half our current allocation if drought continues. That's because most Arizona stakeholders, including CAP, hold junior water rights. But Arizona leaders argue cuts should be shared.
Well, our economy is very connected to the other states in the West. If we are doing worse, it will have impacts in California and Colorado.
So where do things go from here? Arizona has been adding money to its litigation fund and could sue for its allocation. Some negotiators are saying a short-term deal could still be reached.
So when you compare a 5-year plan to a lawsuit, I think a 5-year plan is better than a bunch of lawsuits.
Arizona's negotiator says he would come back to the table if the upper basin states will agree to conservation and cuts. The plans set out by the federal government are still up for public comment, a process which ends next month.